Glorious, who are you with this time?
Good morning, Desiree. I am sitting here now with the Presidential Special Envoy for Policy, Mr. Jeff Radebe. But perhaps before we start, let's just first recap on the statistics for this conference. Remember that this came about in 2018 to try and bring about investment into the economy to the value of about 1.2 trillion rand. So far, government says 774 billion of pledges have been received. 64% of that have been realized, and about 45 projects are now functioning. We have about 57 that are still under construction, 15 delayed. But Mr. Radebe will take us through this. Mr. Radebe, at this conference, what is South Africa's main message to investors?
Well, the message is very clear what President said this morning, that South Africa is ready for investment into the economy. The President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Adesina, says South Africa is bankable, which is a very powerful statement to say in a forum like this. But what is more pleasing is, as we indicated this morning when the President was speaking, that almost 65% of the commitments and the undertaking that he made in 2018 has been realized, which means that we are within target by the year 2024 to achieve this $100 billion of investment to the South African economy. But there are major challenges that we need to face head on. Firstly, the issue of the COVID-19 pandemic that has impacted negatively on the ability of the South African government to realize these objectives in a timeless way. But now, because we have this economic recovery and reconstruction plan that government adopted in 2020, we can be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So we're very optimistic as investment envoys that South Africa has a very good investment story. So we need to ensure that we deal with all the obstacles that still stand on the way. And number one of those is the issue of energy and electricity. So I was happy to hear the President indicating that there's been strides that have been attained by Eskom in separating the transmission from the whole of the company to bring more and more independent power producers so that we can be able to have a competitive market. With a competitive market, we know that the prices are going to go down.
Yes. The President also announced that the unit in the presidency that is established to make sure that red tape is removed and it's easy to do business in South Africa. Can you take us progress as to where that is now? Well,
already Siponkos, as I understand it, is already in office to ensure that he pulls his shoulder to the wheel with other colleagues of his, like the head of infrastructure, and Putla Ramahopa. So I'm very optimistic that all these steps that the President is taking are paving the way for a very good investment story for our country.
The African Continental Free Trade Area is seen as a strong selling point for investment, even in South Africa. But how is South Africa working together with other African countries to ensure that the whole continent actually benefits from this?
Definitely. As South Africa, we are part of the AU. We are also deeply committed in attaining Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. And our President has been at the forefront in promoting this African free trade area, and also too with Ghana as our partner, where the headquarters of the African free trade area is based. So I believe that these are the measures that will make our continent to be very vibrant. And also too, South Africa is a champion of the North-South Corridor, which is a major investment development project, as Dr. Adesina was highlighting in his slides there, that if we do all these things right, timelessly, Africa is an awakening giant.
Now, the South African Investment Conference, it's in its fourth year now. Next year will be the last year. You're left with about 36% to reach the target that was set in 2018. Now, what measures are you going to take to make sure that we do achieve that and possibly exceed that?
Well, we are still here. The conference has just started. We only heard now from the president of the African Development Bank, who committed that because of his role that he plays in Africa with other investors in the world, they want to bring about 27 billion US dollars to the South African economy on this just energy transition. He also made a further pledge of about 2.8 billion US dollars to support both public and the private sector facilitation in South Africa. At 4 o'clock, as President Ramaphosa's investment envoy, were meeting with the President of the African Development Bank at 4 o'clock this afternoon, so that we get more details of how this facilities is going to be utilized.
Okay. So far, any investment pledges that you can share with us?
Well, I think in the plenary session, that's where we're going to be hearing them.
Okay.
But we heard about stories about what NASPERS is doing, what Discovery, as well as Anglo-American. But I'm very certain that there are all others who are going to be coming to make pledges today.
Thank you very much for joining us. Well, Desiree, that is Presidential Special Envoy for Policy, Jeff Radebe, joining us there. We'll take you back to the studio.